Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, gaminggang.com, which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. Today is Wednesday, September 14th, 2022. This is live stream 829. If it's your first time joining me, let me point out, super casual around here. We're not performing rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then, normally, we take a first look at a game. Every once in a while, I'll do a live review, but for the most part, it is a first look kind of show. So tonight, I am going to crack open the eagerly anticipated Gran Mechanismo from Osprey Games. This is a clock punk role-playing game. That is how they are referring to this. And it is set in Da Vinci's Venice. So, like the art style on the cover, we're going to dive on into this, take a peek. Could be very interesting. Of course, if you are tuning in to see the first look at Gran Mechanismo, let me point out, if you're not familiar with the way this show works, we do take a look at the tabletop gaming news first, then we jump into the first look. So it'll be about 35 minutes before we hop on into the role-playing game book. So if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, take a load off, pamper yourself, treat yourself nice for a change, right? Just relax. Of course, if you are watching 30 minutes or more after this stream ends, then there will be timestamps. So if you want to jump past the tabletop gaming news, you certainly can. And depending on what device you happen to be watching this on, you might actually have those timestamps right there in the timeline of the video. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Also, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours to be able to take part in chat. So if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight is Kevin R. Smith. John Vogel's with us. Sarah D is saying howdy. Sarah's one of our chat moderators. And Kathy Evans is here as well. All right, so let's jump on into the news because I've got some kind of cool stuff we're going to talk about tonight. Hitting stores next month from 25th Century Games is Holly Jolly. Ho, ho, ho. I've got the dope. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Gather your friends and family together around the Christmas tree to collect beautiful ornaments, gifts, and stockings. Cards are arranged in the center of the playing area, forming a tree with presents placed below. Players will choose and place either a light or tinsel card onto the tree. Using the point total from all the lights or tinsel cards on the tree of the type just placed is going to determine your selection value. That selection value is then used to pick an ornament hanging on the tree or select a present slash stocking from beneath the tree. Ornaments and presents slash stockings all score points in a variety of ways. Holly Jolly is for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 20 to 30 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $12 when it arrives on October 5th. Just in time for Halloween. Obviously, this is a Halloween game. Yeah, it looks like a nice, lightweight family holiday game. And it's actually coming out. Oh, wait a second. Why is Yosemite popping up here? Ah, for crying out loud. I tell you. I hate when that happens. Anyway, looks like a fun little Christmas game. And it's actually coming out in time for the holiday because a lot of times we see these games come out and they're like tied into a holiday. And then they're like, but the holiday's over. It's November. You came out with this Halloween game. What's going on with that? Stray Kismet is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. All right. Arriving next year from Tompit Games is Halls of Hegra. It's a solitaire game. I've got the skinny. Halls of Hegra is a solo-only game in the same vein as Robinson Crusoe, This War of Mine, and Dead of Winter. The mechanics are worker placement, bag building, and area control / tower defense. Play as the commander of the Norwegian forces. Explore the fortress and dig your way through mountains of snow and broken equipment. New recruits are joining while you plan supply routes for the coming stage. Next up, you're going to defend the village below the fortress while you prepare final preparations before the siege. Send out patrols behind enemy lines to secure enough supplies. Next up, during the siege, you have to endure constant bombing and infantry attacks while keeping the morale up among your men. Will you survive? Halls of Hegra is a solitaire game. It's for ages 14 and up. Plays around 70 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of approximately $49.99 when it arrives in the middle of next year. I believe, try to remember, this was either on a Kickstarter or it was on GameFound. Maybe it was GameFound that I'm thinking. Looks different. I know it's Wednesday. We're not taking a look at a war game, so at least I'm sharing some wargaming news. Solitaire game, tower defense. I wonder if it's got some similarities to some of the States of Siege games from Victory Point Games that were out back in the day. Kind of curious, but this could be very, very unique. So if you are looking for a solitaire war game, may want to take a peek at Halls of Hegra. Doug Roberts is with us in chat. Good to see you, Doug. Let's move on to some role-playing games because right now, Bundle of Holding is running a money-saving offer which features the Troika role-playing game as well as third-party supplements for Troika. I've got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. This new Troika Worlds bundle gathers recent acid fantasy adventures for the Troika tabletop fantasy role-playing game from Milsonian Arts Council. You are a wizarding nautiloid, cryptozoologist, venomist, misstep monastic, octopod headfoot, Sharonite gilder, or maybe a washed up backsash. Anyway, dimension hopping in your golden barge among the crystal spheres, strung like pearls across the humpbacked sky. I know, you'd have to be dropping acid to have written that. The simple Troika rules, inspired by the 1980s fighting fantasy game books, let beginners and jaded role players alike go wild in crazed cross-planar pursuits. Trip the light fantastic with this new assortment of visionary adventures fueled by hallucinatory creativity. For just $12.95, you get all 4 titles in the starter collection as DRM-free PDFs, including Melsonian's complete Troika Numinous Edition core rulebook, along with the third-party adventures and campaign settings, Leaf Punk, A Bug's Guide to the Shimmer, and The City of the Red Pox. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $20.95, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 4 more supplements and adventures worth an additional $49, including Melsonian's recent Slow Slay to Plankton Downs and very pretty Paleozoic Pals, Permian Nations, along with Bones Deep and the 6-issue compilation of Aetherjack's Almanac. These savings run through October 3rd, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity. You guessed it, Direct Relief. I have never taken a look at Troika. I understand it is a rules light system. I have just never checked it out. I don't know. The way they talk about like acid punk and things like that, I don't know. Although I got to admit, the artwork is pretty trippy. So it's some of the artwork I've seen, not necessarily from the core rule book, but from some of the third-party supplements out there, especially like the cover art. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So you've got quite a bit of time to jump on board this rather new bundle of holding. There's a new supplement that has arrived for the Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game from Edge Studio. And here's what I know about Writ of the Wilds. The Emerald Empire is home to many different ethnicities, cultures, species, and ways of life. Many more so than most Rokugani would care to admit. From the Laughing Mountain peoples of the Spine of the World Mountains to the Serpentine Naga who dwell in the depths of the Shinomen Forest, the mortal realm is rich with many tapestries of life. Writ of the Wilds, a 144-page addition to the Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game, details several new cultural groups and dives into the dangers of treading off the beaten path. This book also taps into the history of the esoteric Dragon Clan and their mediators, the Dragonfly. Game masters and players alike will be able to enjoy many new mechanical and lore additions to the setting, including several new schools, including traditions allowing play as Shinomen Naga, Shinomen Nizumi, Tengu, and Yobojin. Whatever those are. Rules for the Dragonfly Miner Clan, new titles, conditions, techniques, and a variant terrain type. Guidance on running campaigns for groups of mixed species and allegiances. Additionally, there's details on various wilderness locales, temples, and running monasteries authentically. Can also be found in this volume. The 144-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $20. Stray Kismet asks, wasn't Legend of the Five Rings, or as many people refer to it, L5R, a card game? Yes, it was a CCG. In fact, it is still a card game with Fantasy Flight Games. It was originally with AEG, and now it's a living card game with Fantasy Flight Games. I think they still support it. I'm not sure. I don't necessarily see a bunch of stuff that comes out. And right now, Fantasy Flight Games seems to be in an odd flux. So Kevin points out, yes, it was a collectible card game first, then came the RPG. When it was with AEG, I thought L5R, the role playing game, was excellent. Really, really good. Now, I do believe when I went to FFG, which is now Edge Studio, handles the role playing games that used to be with Fantasy Flight Games. I think some of the core developers left AEG and went to freelance probably for this edition of Legend of the Five Rings. Always thought very, very cool. I like Asian themed role playing games. I say it all the time that the old Fantasy Games Unlimited Bushido deserved a whole lot more love because it was really, really well done. I think, in my opinion, it was probably the best of the FGU role playing games. So, something to keep an eye on. Actually, I should point out also that all of the Star Wars core books are arriving once again from Edge Studio. So, the print runs from Edge Studio should be heading into stores. So I ran into that as well because I've had people ask what's going on with the Star Wars role playing game. Can't get it anywhere. And of course, we know that Fantasy Flight Games kind of closed the door on the role playing games and they all went over to Edge Studio. So those are back in print. So if you've been holding out, waiting for them, now's the time to strike. All right, final news piece. Sword Lords Publishing has released a new adventure for old school essentials. I've got the latest on Wyvern Songs. The Wyvern Calls. Fill your old school essentials role-playing game with 4 new tales of weirdness and whimsy. Wyvern Songs is an anthology of original adventures written by Brad Kerr. Drop one into an ongoing campaign, run one as a one-shot, or mash them together in a fantasy sandbox with an included hex map. Featuring the art of Matt Stricker, Sam Mamelli, Amanda Lee, Frank, Tyler Smith Owings, Will Perkins, and Brad Kerr. Each adventure features a map lavishly illustrated by Rob Matthews. It includes the following original adventures: The Sinister Secret of Peacock Point. For first level characters, it's an introductory adventure for both new players and old school veterans alike. Explore an insect haunted thieves guild secreted beneath the lighthouse. Claim the loot, but beware the Skitter Lord. Fabian's Antelier. It's for levels 2 to 4. Solve the puzzles in a flying, malfunctioning wizard's workshop before it crashes to the ground. This is actually the sequel to Hideous Daylight, but can be run independently. And, in case you didn't know this, I reviewed Hideous Daylight. Thought it was great. Thought it was excellent. So if you are kind of curious about that OSE adventure, check that video out. There's also The Singing Stones, which is for character levels 3 to 5. Investigate a mystical valley where stones can speak and monsters roam. There's also the Dreaming Caldera for levels 5 and 6. Infiltrate a volcano full of monsters and stop them from constructing a dream-eating chaos god out of garbage. Also, there's some bonus materials. There's new class, rules for adventurers, guilds, a town with 18 points of interest, a hex map to unite all the adventures into one sandbox campaign as well. You can score this 112-page softcover for $20.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $14.99 at Drive-Thru RPG. Gotta say, I'm surprised that Sword Lords Publishing does not have a website as far as I have seen. I was trying to take a peek, because even if I'm talking about something that's at Drive-Thru RPG, I do like to share that company's web address. I don't think they've got one. And I think this is like the 4th or 5th release from Sword Lords Publishing. And it's all old school essential stuff. And like I said, I reviewed Hideous Daylight, thought it was really, really well done. Still waiting on a review for 1,000 Swords because I actually gave it to somebody to review. Have not heard anything back on that. I might have to get it back and review it myself. All right, that is it for the tabletop gaming news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Keep in mind that the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, or any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you make a purchase, I happen to get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always swing on over to paypal.me/thegaminggang and making a small donation. In fact, Testy Trekkie made a donation last night for $30. Thank you very, very much. This week, we have seen donations from the Madman. It must be, this must be his Wednesday game night because I haven't seen him in chat. And Testy Trekkie. So thank you kindly to both of you. All right. So a couple of things do want to mention before I jump on into my first look at Gran Mechanismo from Osprey Games. First of all, I am not sure if we are going to do an extra life game day again this year. I didn't get to do one last year because of the pandemic, and we didn't do one the year before, but I like doing it. I think it's very cool. Although we only do a 12-hour marathon, we don't do 24 hours. Although I would like to take a shot at doing that one day. I think that would be kind of funny to have our own like telethon. I think that I'd start doing the like, oh man, I'm like Jerry Lewis. I haven't had any sleep and I'm cracking up. I'm losing it. Anyway, but I'm going to try to do something. I might once again do a 50-50 auction. So that is a possibility. I am not positive what's going on with that. So one thing I know, we more than likely won't be able to get my nephew Cameron because he works on the weekends. So no way to get around that. So we'll see. Maybe set something up over at Elliot's house and do it. I don't know. Fingers crossed. We'll try to do something. All right. Some other things. In October, I am going to try a review each and every day. That's right. I am going to try to have a new review video each and every day throughout October. Now, some of those might be live. So maybe for the month of October, it's all reviews on the Dispatch. I don't know, but I'm shooting for it. I don't know if I can pull it off. It'll be a challenge. So I am going to try that. I am also looking at probably doing another Halloween spooktacular with the old time radio shows on a nightly basis as well. So trying to do a bunch of stuff in October. Fingers crossed to pull that off. All righty. So we're going to be taking a look at Gran Mechanismo in just a couple of moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Don't be alarmed, folks. That's only the sound of our giant-sized kernels of popcorn exploding into tasty life. Just look at that. Popped from the finest popcorn anywhere, then heaped into a giant-sized container, salted and seasoned just so. Nothing hits the spot like popcorn. And wouldn't some taste good right now? You'll find it at the Refreshment Center. Crisp, hot, delicious popcorn. Go ahead, get some.
Wilkins decaffeinated coffee lets you sleep.
Not me. I don't drink it.
It lets everybody sleep.
Introducing Munchos from Frito-Lay. It's the all-new potato snack, not a potato chip, a potato crisp.
Munchos?
You see, there's more to a Muncho. They're thicker than potato chips, so they're crisper with more potato flavor.
Munchos!
I wish you'd try to control yourself.
Munchos!
Well, as I said, there's more to a Muncho.
Yes, Wontkins lives again. 2 shows in a row. And Wontkins survives both. I don't know. I wouldn't be betting on him surviving on Monday's show. That is for sure. So Coco B is with us. So is Roll for Combat. So there was some question from Coco B asking about where would they live if they're worried about the popping sound of popcorn. I don't know. That did sound like automatic gunfire there. So, and it's funny. It's from that. You'll notice that blonde, the guy and the kid, there's also a little boy, are in all of these different drive-in intermission ads. So they must have like spent an afternoon filming and then just selling all this stuff to different drive-ins, all these different snipes, or I believe what they're called, to all the different drive-ins. So it's kind of wild, kind of bizarre. All right. And yes, we got to see the Potato Monster, obviously related to the Cookie Monster. So tonight, I'm going to take a first look and page through Gran Mecanismo. Mechanismo? I don't know. Let's say Mechanismo from Osprey Games. It is written by Mark Gagliotti with artwork provided by Teresa Ramos and maps by Randy Musso. This 192-page hardcover is available for $35, or you can grab the PDF from Osprey Games for $24.50. So here's something a little strange. I don't know if this is out yet. It was supposed to release this month, but I received this and another role-playing game that comes out, I think it's October. So, and usually I get Osprey role-playing games about a month before they come out. So I don't know. Might be able to get this right now, and you might have to wait. Can't tell you, but we are going to take a look at it. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Gran Mecanismo. So before we dive in, a few things I do want to mention. First off, the fine folks over at Osprey Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But of course, as always, neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's important that you know that. I'm also going to stay picture in picture up here, as always. So as we take a peek I'm going to end up cutting off a little bit of the upper left portion of the book. We're not going to look at each and every page, but I do want to get a good feel for this role-playing game. So definitely dig the cover artwork. To me, it's got kind of a Studio Ghibli feel to it. I don't know why when I see this, I think of like the anime Porco Rosso. So I don't know what it is. All right, let's take a look at the back here. It is the year of our Lord 1510. And one has to wonder how differently history could have played out if Niccolò, isn't it Niccolo? I don't know. It's Machiavelli. The military commissioner of the Republic of Florence had not understood the true scale of Leonardo da Vinci's genius. In such a world, the visionary might simply have wasted his time painting portraits of women and doodling in a sketchbook. Instead, he unleashed a technological evolution, or I should say revolution, where primitive computers decorated with delicately painted cupids run on water clocks. Spring-powered tanks whir across the battlefield, cannons thundering from their flanks, and gliders flit across perfectly blue Tuscan skies. Gran Meccanismo is a role-playing game of swashbuckling adventure in a Renaissance Italy where Florence's winding alleys play host to spies, scholars, and sellswords alike. Players are nobles, mercenaries, inventors, and artisans who may find themselves crossing wits with Machiavelli, avoiding the dangerous charms of Lucrezia Borgia, or hearing Christopher Columbus telling tales of the new world he has discovered. All right, let's jump on in. One of the first things I will point out, like all of the Osprey Games role-playing games, the paper stock is really, really nice. So we're going to it looks like we're going to open up with the world. So this looks like this is just kind of repeating what we were reading on the back. So particular features of Gran Meccanismo are a unique setting, brings many of the tropes and dilemmas of the cyberpunk genre into a rather different and novel world. Yes, this is being referred to as clockpunk. So there is that. Free-flowing character creation guidelines allow you to describe your alter ego in the game and use those descriptions as traits. This is a dice building game. Gran Meccanismo requires traditional six-sided dice in play, and I should say to play, and lots of them. Font's kind of small. Let's see. Describe what your character is doing and make use of as many advantages as you can to build as large a hand or pool of dice as possible. Roll your dice, count up your successes, and the highest total wins. So they say dice building game, but effectively that's just a dice pool game. Instead of numerous complicated rules, Gran Meccanismo provides storytelling opportunities that are translated into challenges. The game is meant to encourage players to give vivid descriptions that build a shared character-focused story. Create goals for your character and drive them to succeed, playing your part in creating a fun and immersive experience for everyone. All right, sweet. So talking about what do we need to play, I think we're going to get a breakdown of the world. So it looks like we're getting setting information before we start getting into mechanics. So we've got the Renaissance, Florence, cradle of the Renaissance. So we've got Venice, Genoa, it is Genoa. I almost said Genoa. So Naples. It's got some sketches here. So Europe. So getting kind of a gazetteer here. Now we get some info. It's kind of about the world. The new science. This is the time of the new science. It was Machiavelli who saw the potential in the tortured genius of Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci had been employed by Milan's until the French supplanted him, whereupon he fled to Venice, which returned him to his home city of Florence in 1500. He set up shop as an artist, but Machiavelli happened to glance at some of his fanciful designs and saw in them not just the Republic's survival, but its future. All right, and there is Da Vinci with some sort of an eye, like a goggle. Hey, it's the kingdom of the spiders again, as we have a spider coming. It's walking. Well, no, now it's going down on its web. It was actually almost directly in front of the lens, right there. In fact, for a minute, I thought it was going to walk across the lens, but it is just traveling on down on its web. So we have a city map of Florence. It's kind of cool. So some discussion of everyday life, war, travel, medicine. Renaissance medicine is not for the faint-hearted. Most doctors rely on a mix of herbal cures, folk remedies, and trial and error. Concepts of hygiene are primitive at best. Only a few avant-garde thinkers, such as not even an attempt at Girolamo Thecastoris. For one, it doesn't help that the font is actually very small. So, and it's not like I'm right here on top of the book. The book is actually ahead of me and down. So if you were thinking that it's like right below me like that, it's not. So, because otherwise I'd have the camera on top of my head. So the artwork looks kind of cool, but not anything that's like, wow, whoa, that's inspiring me. So it's just kind of functional. Now that's not a knock. I'm just saying that I'm not seeing any artwork that's inspiring. So we have the basics of the game. So now we're going to get into the mechanics. So it looks like about the first 70 pages or so was basically breaking down the world around the system here. And now we're going to get into the system itself. So there's some discussion of when did Sarah become a chat moderator? A few weeks ago, question mark. I think it's been more than a few weeks. So it's been a couple of months with the banhammer. All right, so that looks like an automatic weapon of some sort. Creating your character. So you're going to start off with the concept. So as an example, a Venetian naval captain and art collector who hides his ruthless greed behind an extravagantly courteous manner. A battle-scarred Swiss mercenary who cannot go home until he has found a wife. Okay, so those are interesting. So we get some example names. So we get into attributes. So there's 3. So body, mind, and soul. So that's kind of a new SR kind of fine. It's got a thing here. So it says time flies when you're having fun. I would hope. We got a mechanical dog there. So we got archetypes. So we'll look at each of the archetypes. I won't skip. So just kind of curious. I have this hair that just for some reason just keeps floating around. Okay, so we have the artificer, the artisan, the artist. Well, a lot of art here. The banker, the bravo. Oh, yes. You are an entrepreneur of violence. Maybe you're just hired thug, a bruiser from the tough part of town. Maybe you pretend to dandyish sophistication. But no matter how you choose to comport yourself, your business is menace and murder. I like that. I definitely like that. The Doctor. This is going to hurt. So we have assassinations. Murder for hire is common. Actually, the strange thing is, in Renaissance Italy and Florence and Venice and things like that, poisoning was a big thing because it was so easy to get away with. Coco BS, are you sure it's a hair and not a little spider? Yeah, because it's a long hair. So we got the entertainer, the farmer, the merchant. Oh, hey, I'm in this, the ne'er-do-well. In the towns, you may be a thief, a con artist, a beggar, a cutthroat, or a burglar. In the countryside, you're a bandit, a sheep rustler, a horse thief. Thankfully, it's just sheep rustler. Or a wandering fraud pretending to be a monk, or a fortune teller for a meal, a bed, and a chance to abscond with whatever strikes your fancy before anyone else is awake. The nobleman, the noblewoman, the priest, the rabble-rouser, the sailor, the scholar, the soldier, the spy, the woodsman, the workman. And then I noticed we have some variations as well. Then we have our origins. So where are you from? Then we got the rules. So, okay, challenges. At the core of Gran Mechanismo system are challenges and their outcomes. Most of the time, especially when player characters are engaging in essentially mundane or risk-free activities with no real jeopardy to speak of, there's no need to roll dice. Players simply describe what their characters are doing, and then it happens, subject to the guide's interpretation. All right, so our game master is called a guide in this. So Doug says one of the spiders are going to bite me and I'm going to become Spider-Man. They're all just really little. Well, okay. So last night and tonight, the spiders that I've seen going past are about that big with their legs. So I'm counting the legs. So, but the rest of them are just little itty bitty tiny, almost like mites. It's weird. I mean, they're just hatching. I mean, it's basically what's going on. All right. So, for example, a player states that their character goes to the market to stock up on provisions, for example, and that's generally what happens in the game. Nothing more to it. All right, we're gonna roll a bunch of dice for that. Here are some examples of challenges that your characters may face. Can your soldier face down the rioting mob and avoid a bloodbath? Will your scholar and investigator spot the traces of poison? There you go. There's the poison on the cardinal's wine goblet and thus be able to deduce that his death was a murder? Will your buffoon of a wastrel somehow be able to successfully engage a cynical official in a diverting conversation for more than 15 minutes, giving friends time to borrow the official's ledger? And there's a few more of those. So we've got no roll challenges. Use these when you want to move on quickly and just need to check that a character has a high enough pool of dice to get past an obstacle. So it's just based, I guess it looks as if that would be, you're just looking at the dice pool. And if they have a certain number, I guess they succeed. One roll challenges. Use these when you want a quick resolution to a challenge and want to start rolling dice. Then we have multi-roll challenges. Use these when you want to take time getting into the detail of a challenge, normally a complex or multi-part one. Different attributes and traits can be used over multiple dice rolls before a character wins. All right, so we have difficulty. So I have easy tests. You need 2 successes. So I'm kind of curious what a success is. Most games you're looking at, it's a 6, but I would think if you're rolling a 6-sided die, I would think it's probably a 5 or a 6 or a 4 to 6. Okay. We'll find out when I do my review. Flaming Heron's popped in. Another one of our chat moderators. Good to see you, Flaming Heron. So we've got scene traits. There you go. Build your pool of dice. Okay, so here we go. Roll the dice and see who wins. So now we find out, why didn't they tell us what the successes were like right off the bat? Why is it here? That's not very intuitive. Okay, so each die showing a 6 counts as 2 successes. Each die that shows a 4 or 5 counts as 1 success. Hey, I was right on that guess. Except the 6 is 2 successes. And then 1, 2, or 3 is not a success. So then we have different kinds of challenges. Mooks. So peons, piss ants. NPCs not worth worrying about. There you go. Mooks, or as we like to call them, jamokes. All right, so we've got different outcomes. Looks like that's based on the number of successes rolled. Have healing. So it looks like we have natural recovery. So it looks like our damage is dice. You get dice worth of damage. Nudges. Nudges give players an extra edge to influence the outcome of challenges in their character's favor. Starting characters have 3 nudges, and thereafter they start each game session with a number of nudges equal to their highest trait. After the dice are rolled, each nudge allows a player to shift the outcome of a single die by 1 step. So if it's a failure, you can change it to a success. If it's a success, you can change it to a 6 and take 2 successes. So it looks like this is pretty interesting. It certainly is rules light. I'll tell you that much. Okay, so now we have character advancement. I would have liked to have seen far more artwork devoted to things like this, to the actual clock punk mechanisms. So I'm kind of surprised that we have so, then again, we are skipping pages, so I might be skipping past some of the artwork. But a lot of the artwork is just, characters, just people. All right, come on. Actually, this is, there we go. So there's a clockwork mechanism. Yeah, stuff like this. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's nice. The artwork is good. Just nothing too thrilling. So the art of the guide. So this is our little game master section here. It doesn't look like we've got a lot of page space devoted to it. Okay, so what kind of game are you looking to run? Mission Impossible. Politics, travelogue, keeping it in the family, clockpunk dystopia, business. That's not too exciting. The business aspect, I'm saying. So guide characters, the extra. So these are NPCs who probably just play a small role. Significant characters, there you go. There's your major NPCs. Animals. Thrilling combat. Keep it flowing. Guts for glory. Missiles and thrown weapons. Now we got at least some artwork of some of these mechanical contraptions like the bike. Needs a seat though. Okay, so discussing running the game. Player characters are at the center. Yes, create together. Mix up your challenges. The rules are not the boss of you. I tell people that all the time. Do not allow the rules of a role-playing game to just stomp all over your fun. And there are too many people who allow that to happen. On cliffhangers and lucky escapes, Play with kindness and inclusion. We got our appendix here, which looks like this would be the stuff that we would normally maybe find on a Game Master screen, although we've got our example names here. We've got our character sheets. So it looks like we've got, it's actually two-sided. There you go. All right, so that is our 192 pages of Gran Mechanismo. So, like I said, this looks pretty interesting. Artwork's a little, I know I'm kind of harping on it, but I'm a big fan of artwork in role-playing game books because to me, they really get the juices flowing for creativity. So when I see a book that's kind of weaker artwork, kind of point it out. Although, like I said, the artwork is nice, just kind of bland. All right, let's swing on over to the other camera. I will have a review of Gran Mechanismo in the very near future. Once again, I know it sounds like I'm harping on the art. The artwork's not going to really have much of an effect on the review. So, it does look kind of interesting, kind of cool. So, that will be in the very near future. So, what is cooking next week? I got to be honest, I have absolutely no idea. I don't. There are different things that are supposed to be in transit. I am not positive if they are or not. Oh gosh, off the top of my head now, I can't remember the company's name. They're supposed to be sending some books in their Lex Arcana series, which is like, it's like, I want to say it's like fantasy during the Roman Empire. It's supposed to be a very cool system and very well liked. They also did that, what do they call it? Like spaghetti fantasy or whatever. It's Brankinconia or something like that. Testy Trekkie says Lex Arcana is brilliant. Yes. Tessie Trekkie says Alien Heart of Darkness. I don't know. Usually the Free League Publishing stuff just shows up. It usually just shows up out of the blue. So I don't know. I'm hoping. So Kevin says artwork is probably more essential for a setting like this that isn't a standard RPG trope. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I will agree with you on that. Anyway, so I've got different stuff that's supposed to be heading my way. If it arrives, I will definitely be doing that. So kind of take it as it comes. But I mean, I've got stuff we can look at. It's just there's stuff that I'm kind of excited to check out. So, all righty. So that is it for tonight's show. Of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming look at the Rackham Vale Paint Box Edition. It is just going to be a bit of a page through. Just want to show you what this is going to look like in color. Really enjoyed Rackham Vale. Very, very cool stuff. I've got other videos that I'm hoping to get done as well. So, and once again, if you tuned in late, I am aiming for October to have a new review video each and every day. Oh, okay. Let me take that back. A new review period each and every day, because I do also want to get my correspondents involved as well. So anyway, and I don't know, 31 videos is a little tricky. All righty then. So those of you who watched live, thank you very much. If you took part in chat, big tip of the cap to you. Extra experience points as well. And of course, I know a lot of people out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch this live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much. I really appreciate each and every one of you taking time out of your busy lives to watch any of the videos that are here on the channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it happens to be in your neck of the woods. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. And of course, I will be back on Monday. And of course, as always, here's hoping each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
Oh, hey, you're still here. That's okay. You don't have to leave just yet. In fact, why don't you subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel right here, or take a peek at the latest live stream, or even find out what YouTube recommends you check out from the channel. And of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks again for watching.